hoping the more TBRs I put it on, the more chance I'll actually read it. That's the theory. Whether that works or not is a whole different story. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten, and today we are doing my spring TBR. So I really like doing these seasonal TBR videos, but last year, autumn and winter, I was not doing amazingly well. I kind of fell off the bandwagon a little bit, so we're going to try and bring it back and do a little bit better this year. Fingers crossed we can do that. So I have 10 books that I would like to read throughout spring. I have a mixture of things from murder mystery to classics to kind of fantasy stuff going on. It's a little bit of a mix. You'll have to let me know, do you do spring TBRs or seasonal TBRs? And have you read any of these books once we get into them? That'll be good to know and give me like the extra motivation if you really enjoyed them to actually just get on and read these. I've also got a mixture of some continuing of series that I really want to do, so I'm going to try and make that a priority this year, is to actually clear off some of the series that I'm in the middle of because there's loads. So let's just get straight into it, starting off with the 2 books that I don't own yet but I should be getting soon. I am filming this video a little bit early. So we have Sunbringer by Hannah Kenner. This is the second book that started off with God Killer. I really liked this. This was just a fun fantasy story. The first book is a bit more of like a travelling fantasy story. We're following our main character Kissen, who is a god killer. Gods in this world are really prevalent. Like if you believe in something enough, it will create a god, and the more people that believe in the god, the stronger the god gets. And it was issued out that gods and that were no longer allowed, that they were to be killed on sight because they are capricious beings. You know, they like to rule in a little bit of mischief, you know, they're selfish, they want certain things, and the stronger they get, the less benevolent they are, and so an issue is decreed that you can go around killing them. Kissen is one of those people until she comes across a god that she cannot kill because it's kind of got a symbiotic relationship with this young girl. There's a lot of political things going on. We have a ex-soldier who is now trying to be a baker. You have lots of different things going on in the world. I think it was really interesting, really well done, and I'm really looking forward to this second book. I really want to see where we're going with it all, and I just think it's going to be a really fun time. So that's definitely one. I then have The Book That Broke the World by Mark Lawrence. This is the sequel to The Book That Wouldn't Burn, which I absolutely loved. One of my top books of last year. It was so fantastic. In this one we're following 2 main different perspectives, and it's about this world, obviously, this war that's going on within this world, and we have this massive library that plays a part. It's definitely a book for book lovers. It is so beautiful. I loved it. It's Mark Lawrence's best work in my opinion. I absolutely adore it, and while there's other works, some I've got on with and some I haven't, this has been stand out fantastic. So I'm really excited to continue on, especially because the first book leaves off at a bit of a cliffhanger with what's going on. It's just so good. It's so fantastic. There's a lot that goes into this as well. We look at colonization, we look at racism and the way that we can treat other people just because they come from somewhere else and they look a little bit different. It's got a lot going on, but at the core it is a book for book lovers, and it's just so good. I absolutely loved it. I fell in love with that world. Like I say, top book of 2023. It was fantastic, and continuing with this series is such a high priority for me. In the vein of continuing on with series, I have 2 other books that I would like to read. We have Finley Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead by Ellie Cosmano. I read the first one. Finley Donovan is killing it and I loved it. It was absolutely hilarious. That was a gift from Naomi. It was fantastic. Again, another favourite of last year. It was brilliant. I just haven't continued on with the series, mainly because I've heard some mixed things about this one, but you know what, I need to put that aside and just read it and see if I like it. So in this one, Finley Donovan is struggling author. She's also a single parent. Her husband that she's recently going through a divorce is really difficult. She's got 2 young children, and her ex-husband is an absolute douchebag, and she's complaining to her editor one day because she is a murder mystery romance author, and she's complaining about how she just doesn't know how to keep it interesting anymore, that she's getting really bored of killing off characters in the same way. Someone overhears this and gets the complete wrong end of the stick and thinks that Finley Donovan is a hit woman and leaves the name and a price and is like $50,000, and Finley's like, no, I need to correct this because I'm not a hit woman. And then she's like, oh, but actually I could do a lot with $50,000. That would really help. That would help in all the court cases and everything that my ex-husband douchebag is trying to do. And it's just hilarious. It is really, really funny and silly. I laughed out loud so much in that book. So I really need to continue on and read this one, especially because it's on my TBR, and continue on with the series. Like, I think it's going to be really fun, really enjoyable, and something to break up some of the other books that I'm reading. So this is definitely a priority for me. So yeah, I need to do that. The last series that I've got on this list is Love Will Tear Us Apart by C.K. McDonald. This is the third book in the Stranger Times series, which is a book that I've been talking about quite a lot because I absolutely love that series. I think it is so funny. A bit like Finley Donovan, it is a humorous time. It's also a murder mystery, but this one is paranormal mystery because we are following the Stranger Times, which is a newspaper that is in Manchester that reports on all the paranormal and weird happenings that maybe are more true than what people think. It is really, really silly. In each one we seem to have a different mystery. This one, I kind of given me Picture of Dorian Gray vibes. I don't know why, but that's what it's given me. This one is looking at marriage. But yeah, so I'm not sure what's going on in this one, but I'm looking forward to it. I don't really want to know much going into this because I know they are just a fun time. They're really easy to read. I just enjoy it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to continuing on. In the first book, we have quite a few different main characters, but the first one that you're following is Hannah, and she's struggling. She's leaving her marriage with another ex-douchebag husband. Seems to be a running theme in books, and she needs a job, and so she gets one as being an editor for this newspaper, and she's like, I'm just going to give it a try. And it's kind of like a found family, but also really ridiculous and funny, and they're really quite satirical to one another, and each character has their own little idiosyncrasies about them. Like, they're just so much fun to follow, plus all the paranormal stuff that Hannah's suddenly like, wait, what, this shit's real? Oh, and it's just so much fun. It is really good. The second book focuses on vampires, which isn't a giveaway, like, it's not a spoiler because the cover of the book shows what's coming. There's a lot of like smaller imagery within the covers, so like this one, I don't know if you can see it, but like above the T there's like some little people here, and it shows you events of what's going to happen in the book, and I think it's going to be really fun. So again, this is another series that I really enjoyed, and then I took ages to get to the second book, and I don't want to do that to the third, and I think the fourth book is out or it's coming out, and so I just want to stay on top of this series because I enjoy it so much. So yeah, so that's another series I need to get on with. So we've got 4 series that I really want to prioritize in spring. Hopefully we'll do it. Fingers crossed. Okay, so then we've got just a mixture of other books. So let's go with this one actually. It's been on my TBR for a while. So we have Promise Boys by Nick Brooks. I picked this one up because it was on a table in Waterstones that said Dark Academia books, and I was like, sure, sign me up. Why not? And I've just not read it. This is more young adult Dark Academia. We are following a group of students that go to Urban Promise Prep School, which vows to turn boys into men until there is a murder that happens, and we have 3 students that are being blamed for it, and they have to band together to prove that it wasn't them. So I think it's going to be more murder mystery than Dark Academia, but I do like a young adult murder mystery, so we'll see. It was on a Dark Academia table, but if you've seen my Dark Academia video, I personally think there are so many subcategories to Dark Academia that books fall into, and I feel like this is going to be more aesthetic Dark Academia and actually leaning into murder mystery than actual Dark Academia. But I'm intrigued to give it a try. It's been on my TBR for absolutely ages, and I just keep not picking it up, so I really need to prioritize this and actually read it. Again, you'll have to let me know if you've read this one and what you thought of it. It's not one that I've heard anyone really talking about, so I'll be intrigued to see what I think. I think there's going to be a lot of social commentary. I do think this is more murder mystery, especially because it is all about how these 3 must band together to track down the real killer. It's definitely more murder mystery vibe. On that kind of same thrillery vein, we have Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. This is one that, again, I picked up ages ago. I think I picked this one up during the Waterstones half-price hardback sale they did in 2022, and I've just not read it. Honestly, that sale was way better than this year's sale, though, for Christmas. Like, this year's sale was pants. Anyway, we have this book. I picked this one up just because I really like the cover. I think it's really interesting. Looks really cool. And also, there was a few people talking about it, but I've just not heard anything since. But this is a book that is about someone going around stealing back art that was stolen originally. So it says here, history is told by the conquerors. Across the Western world, museums display the spoils of war, of conquest, of colonization, priceless pieces of art looted from other countries kept even now. Will Chen plans to steal them back. So that's what it is. I think it's going to be really interesting, really fun. I'm looking forward to it. I also really like the yellow of the hardback. But again, this is one I've not heard anyone really talking about. I don't know whether people were a bit disappointed, whether they wanted more from it. Like, I'm not really sure, but it's been sat on my shelves for ages and I need to get it read. So I feel like I will enjoy this one depending on how it goes, because it's like a heist story but for art that we're stealing back. But yeah, it just sounds really interesting, so I'm gonna give it a try. Again, let me know if you've read it. What I've tried doing with this TBR is obviously continuing on my series, and then I've got 4 books that I've not heard anyone talking about that I've had sat on my TBR that I keep forgetting about reading. So that's 4 that I'm really trying to be like, okay, you've got these on your TBR, we need to get those read. And then I've done 2 classics. So I feel like this time is a really nice split, and it's doing a couple things that I want, which is getting rid of some of the books that are on my TBR that have been on there for ages, and either finally reading them and really enjoying them, or reading them and being like, oh okay, not for me, I'll move them along. Continuing series, and then also tackling my classics. My classic TBR is huge, I'm not gonna lie. So I have a lot of books on my TBR. Going on a bit of a tangent, but my physical TBR is quite large. A quarter of that is classic, and so I really want to focus on trying to read more classics. I do have to be in the mood for them, but generally I do really enjoy them. It's just I haven't been prioritizing them as much, so I want to try and do that. So yeah, we've got a mixture of stuff on this TBR. Portrait of a Thief is the one that falls into the category of I've had this on my TBR for ages and I've just not read, and I haven't heard anyone talking about, and I keep forgetting about it. In the same vein of I keep forgetting I have it is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. Now this one actually was very popular when it first came out. I heard a lot of really good reviews. My mum also read this one and liked it, and I just haven't actually got round to reading it. This one, we're following a chemist, Elizabeth, but it's in the early 1960s, and she kind of frowned upon because she's a woman in this field of science. Like, she kind of gets pushed out from where she is. Like, where she's working is very male dominated. She's not ever really listened to. She gets pushed out and she's forced to resign. She reluctantly agrees to sign on as a host of a cooking show, Supper at 6. But her revolutionary approach to cooking, fueled by scientific and rational commentary, grabs attention of the nation, and soon a legion of overlooked housewives find themselves daring to change the status quo, one molecule at a time. So I'm already intrigued to see what this one's going to be like. I know I'm going to have to be in the mood for this sort of book. Don't hear so much about it anymore, but I'm intrigued to give it a try, and I do like this cover. I think it's really fun. This is one I picked up at my local supermarket for, I think it was like £5 or something like that. So yeah, so I need to give this one a try. Again, it's one I just forget that I have on my TBR, so putting it on here so hopefully I remember. And then the last one in that I've forgotten I have it on my TBR / not many people have spoken about it is The Cleave-In by Juliet E. McKenna, and this is a beautiful book that I mainly picked up because of the cover, and this is one that I have not heard anyone talking about, and I also forget I have it a lot of the time. I think I need to change the shelf it's on, because the shelf it's on, I've actually read everything apart from 2 books on there, and I keep forgetting I own it, and I think that's part of the reason why. But yeah, so this is The Cleave-In. This is a King Arthur retelling, but from the women of Camelot's perspective. So we have 4 women, Igraine, Morgana, Nimue and Guinevere, who have all been blamed for the troubles that befell Arthur and Merlin by the chroniclers of Camelot. In truth, they were women with their own powers, destinies, whose stories became entwined with the legend of the once and future king. They were not content to be the pawns in men's games of rivalry and ambition. Supporting each other, they sought a different future for Albion. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what this is like. I haven't really read many King Arthur retellings, which I'm pretty sure I say every time I hold up this book. This one is also on my 24 to read in 2024, because I know this is a book I will keep forgetting that I own, so I'm hoping the more TBRs I put it on, the more chance I'll actually read it. That's the theory. Whether that works or not is a whole different story, but I feel like the theory is there. So we're going to give this one a try. I love this cover. That's the main reason why I picked it up. I just thought it was a beautiful cover, and I'm really intrigued to see how these women, like how the story gets portrayed. It hasn't got the best reviews on Goodreads, and like I say, I haven't heard anyone talking about it, but I am intrigued. And this one is a new release actually. It's only 2023. Fingers crossed. I like it. But yeah, so I definitely want to try and get onto that. And then the last 2, as I said, are classics. So we've got 2 different classics here. One from an author I know I like, and that's Thomas Hardy. We have A Pair of Blue Eyes. This one is written at a crucial time in Hardy's life. A Pair of Blue Eyes expresses more directly than any of his his novels the events and social forces that made him the writer he was, because we're looking at a daughter of a rector in a remote sea-swept parish in Cornwall. She has an option of two different men, and one is an architect and one is an older literary man, and we're just seeing that. So normally in Thomas Hardy books we get beautiful depictions of the English countryside. We tend to have this headstrong female character and then a bit of a romance that ensues, and it seems like we've got two different love interests. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Far From the Madding Crowd, but obviously be slightly different. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I haven't heard anyone talking about A Pair of Blue Eyes before, but I saw this in a charity shop and it's in the Oxford Wild Classics, which I like to collect, and I thought, why not? I do like Thomas Hardy, so I need to read more. I think this is going to be a really nice one. I do have Jude the Obscure, but I feel like that's more for like dreary days. I feel like this will be a nicer book for spring, so fingers crossed I get it read. And then the last classic book, I don't know if it's going to be a good one for spring or not, but we're going to give it a try anyway. I went for it because it's a smaller classic book, and this is Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse 5. I know nothing about this book, absolutely nothing, but I know I like the edition that is in, because again this is another edition that I like to collect, these vintage red spines. And this one is a prisoner of war, optometrist and time traveller. That's an interesting mix. So Slaughterhouse 5 is one of the world's great anti-war novels, centering on the infamous firebombing of Dresden in the Second World War. You'll have to let me know if you've read it, if you think it's good. I feel like it's a very unusual mix, having an optometrist and a time traveller and a prisoner of war. Like that is an interesting mix, but it's a short book. I've never read a Kurt Vonnegut book, so it'll be really intriguing to see how I get on with their writing style. I just decided, you know what, I want a shorter classic book on this spring TBR, and this is the one that I picked, so we're gonna give it a try. I actually really like this design because you've got like bombs from the war, you've got, oh okay, on there it says, so it goes, all moments past, present and future always have existed, always will exist, which is a thing for the time. Everything was beautiful and nothing hurt. I actually really like this cover. I think that's a really cool cover. But there we are. Those are the 10 books that I would like to read in spring. You have to let me know, as I said, have you read any of these? What did you think of any of these? Do you want to read any of these? And if you have any that you think I should be prioritising, let me know in the comments below. But that is it for this video, so thank you so much for watching. I do love a TBR video, I really, really do, because the satisfaction I get of ticking the books off my TBR when I've actually read them is so good. So last year for spring, I think I ended up with reading 7 out of the 10, which is really good. So if we can hit 7 out of these again across spring, I'll be really, really happy with that. We're not going to talk about autumn or winter, because I think winter I've read like 2, so hopefully we can get the mojo back that I had at the start of last year and read more of these. But I think that is everything for today, so thank you so very much for watching. I truly appreciate each and every single one of you that takes the time to watch these videos. It really means a lot. If you've made it this far, then let's do a clock emoji for this book. So if you've made it this far or you just don't know what you want to comment, then leave a little clock in the comments below and I will go. So thank you once again for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please do consider giving it that thumbs up, subscribe and commenting. Those 3 things really do help this channel grow. My social media links and anyone I've mentioned will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.